Take a break from the drama at Sochi and get your automotive fix. This week on Edmunds Live, we have the Jeep Grand Cherokee, Bmw X5, and cars you can lease for about $199. Joined by Mike McGrath, Ed Helwig, Jay Kavanaugh, and Aaron Riches. So let's talk about that Jeep Grand Cherokee diesel. Mike, you and I drove it. What did you think about it?
There is no mistaking this one is a diesel. Some of the other modern diesel cars that we've got from Volkswagen, from Audi, from Mercedes, they do their best to make it not diesel-y. I wouldn't go so far as to say rough, but you get some feedback from the engine, and it's interesting. If you're kind of careful with the throttle, it'll feel slow, and then you get into it, the diesel kicks up, you get all that torque, and man, it just goes. It's neat, and if you like diesels, you'll like this.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem with it at all. I mean, it's after all, it's a Jeep Cherokee. I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be like an X5 or an ML, but you know, I don't think it's overly rough or overly loud, and I think for people who want that big chunk of torque in their Jeep, I mean, it's a really nice alternative to the Hemi, which I think probably gets considerably worse mileage and about the same price as far as
I get
the difference being 16 for the Hemi combined, and then the 24 for the diesel. Now it's $1,300 more expensive than the Hemi.
Oh, that's worth it. That's a vast difference.
Yeah, so it's 2 to 3 years payback for the diesel.
And with my driving style, I averaged about 19 miles per gallon in the Jeep, and if it was the Hemi, 8, 10.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's all city driving for
the Hemi's probably likely to get less in EPA, the diesel's likely to get better. Now you mentioned the BMW X5, and our Jeep that we have right now actually costs $57,000. It's the Summit. It has everything on it. That's basically what a BMW X5 costs.
But
with no equipment.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Exactly. For that 57 grand in the Jeep, you get the diesel, you get a ton of options, you get that big like Uconnect screen, you've got a digital dash, you've got leather. Does a base X5 at 55 grand have seats?
Yeah.
Well, we actually had an X5 recently. Why don't we talk about that? Jay, you drove it. That cost $67,000?
Yeah, it's about $67,000, and it did have seats. I sat in it.
Excellent.
How many seats?
At least one.
Okay.
The rest was a blur.
Right. I mean, I don't even know if that $55,000 X5 even exists. If you go to a dealer, I mean, they're going to have stuff on the lot that's got some options. That's what people want. So. Your point is valid about the price differentiation. They made some changes to the suspension for ride quality. It's a bit quieter than the outgoing X5, and it's been restyled. Now, the styling, I don't know if I'm totally sold on. I mean, the last X5, I think, was a really, really good-looking thing. Car, truck, SUV, whatever. And this one, that's a little bit frumpier looking, but it is a little bit better ride quality, and it is a little bit quieter. Noticeable improvements. Maybe could go a little bit more in the quietness and ride quality direction, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
I didn't drive this one, but the last one of the noticeable things was the steering was so heavy, like it was this forced sport steering that you almost had to lean over. Does this one still have that hard to steer in a parking lot feel, or
not quite as severe? No, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Really heavy at parking lot speeds in the
really
outgoing
heavy
one. So this one's a little bit better in that regard. And some people were complaining about the electric steering. I don't know. I didn't really have a big beef with it. Is it numb? Maybe a little bit, but it's really precise, and you don't get that sense of synthetic steering feel in this electric steer. So I was okay with it.
And man, I don't know how much bigger they made that center screen, but it sort of sticks up in the middle and got this big wide screen.
Yeah, I mean it's probably, I mean, it's one of the sharper screens there is, but you know, it can be a little distracting because there's so much going on there. But it is pretty nice in terms of its navigation, setup, and the clarity of the screen and the information it gives you, and how it works with the iDrive is all much better than it's ever been before. So I actually kind of like that part of it.
Now, a big story recently has been a potential mandate in the future for cars to have car-to-car communication with each other to prevent accidents. Now, a lot of people on social media were commenting about this, so why don't we bring in Claire for a social media minute?
So I posted the article and asked our Facebook fans what they thought of the idea of cars talking to each other. Did people think it could actually work? Kevin Wilson posted, "Whatever happened to people actually paying attention while they drive and being mindful of other drivers? Adam Ward said, "It will work. Forget about the government for a minute. This technology will save so many lives." What do you guys think?
I think we're almost beyond the part where the whole let's teach people to drive better is a valid argument. People are paying less and less attention to everything that isn't their smartphones. And really, in this post-NSA, cell phone in every pocket world, one more thing tracking you from home to work, I don't know why that's going to bother people so much.
But the government did specifically say that they would not be tracking you. It would simply car saying, hey, I'm coming this speed from this direction, going this fast, and watch out for me. And the car will give you an alert, just as a lot of cars do now, except instead of using a laser in front, it is now saying, you know, I'm behind that garbage truck.
Yeah, one court order is gonna undo that,
There'll
and
be
all
so
of a
many
sudden,
interested parties, I think. Yeah.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Like the police.
right? And if we go beyond the police are watching us, this could be really good for the future of autonomous vehicles. It's a nice research step, and it also could do something for our daily traffic. We have these strips across the road that say, oh, 6 cars went. This will give us actual data on where people go, when they go, and approximately what speed they're going. Could help with light timing, it could help with construction zones. Could be a real benefit.
Yeah, I mean, there's way too much upside for it to be put down because of privacy concerns. I mean, it's just, that is a legitimate concern on some level, but the potential reduction in accidents alone is probably worth doing it. And like Mike said, you got all sorts of other issues that could be made much more streamlined with that kind of information. So I think people worried about their privacy are probably thinking about the wrong end of it.
Well, let's go to our lightning round. This week we published cars that you can lease for about $199. Guys, which one of these would you lease?
It's a little over the limit, but a Mazda 6 at $290 or $209 a month, it's a pretty good deal. I mean, it's the base model car, but that's a great driving car, and it offers enough room for reasonable people.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Mazda 6, mainly because it looks really great, and probably the best looking car of this bunch, but I think I might go for the Honda Accord LX, just because it's such a great overall, just basic car, and when you're buying or leasing a car for $200, I mean, you're basically just looking for the basic transportation. I think that does it better than any of these others.
And all of these are the most basic cars.
The Honda, after this lease period ends, might have a higher residual than the Mazda to get you out of that. So you've got to think of that too.
Yeah.
Jay?
I'm with Mike on this one, Mazda 6. That's a heck of a car.
Aaron?
I'm going to go for the Legacy with the manual transmission, because how often are you going to get a deal on something with an undesirable transmission choice like that?
It'll be the last Legacy with a 6-speed manual transmission as well. The new one's only CVT.
Oh,
It'll be a collector car.
right. I'll have to buy it after the lease is up.
That's it for Edmunds Live this week.